Good evening to all investors gathered here today and welcome to the first webinar event of the year. Continuing with our Mojonomics series, we have with us our CIO Mr. Sunil Damania with the equity outlook for calendar year 2023. Towards the end, he will also be revealing the top 10 stocks to invest today. You can also drop your queries in the Q&A box which is just below the video. Over to you, Mr. Sunil.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jason, and very warm welcome all of you. The first webinar of 2023 and year 2022 has been extremely bad for the equity investors across the world. India did relatively well, but not as much as one would have loved to perform. So what is storing for us in 2023? Would it be equally challenging? Will the sectors that perform well in 2022, did they perform well? Will mid and small cap bounce back, and how FI and other things, how are they going to play out? I'm going to discuss all this in this webinar. But why should you take my prediction seriously? What is our track record? Are we really what we are predicting? Is it coming true or not? Because that's going to define whether you should listen to me very carefully or not about our equity outlook for 2023. So what I'm going to do, there are certain things which we had predicted on 3rd Jan 2022, exactly 1 year before. And has it come true? What are our hits and misses in our prediction for 2022? And that will give you a fair idea about what is our track record. So before I begin and take you through what we predicted in 2022, just a small disclaimer that this webinar is only for an education purpose. Whenever you invest in the equity market, it does carry a little higher amount of risk, and past performance should not be construed as an indicator for future returns. But before I begin, let me wish everyone a very healthy and wealthy 2023. And complete team at Markets Mojo joins me to wish you people a very prosperous new year. I pray to God that we make a lot of wealth, and at the same time our health is always at its best. So we don't basically compromise on health or wealth. With this, let me start with the one topic which really hit us very badly in 2022. Now in hindsight, yes, we all know that it has hit us very badly. On what did I predict? On inflation on 3rd January 2000. We will play a very small clip just to understand what did I predict at that point of time. Over to you, Jason. Will inflation spoil the party? And I think that's one big danger that we need to all be worried about, because inflation is going to remain very. And if you remember, well, the central banks across the world has been talking about inflation going to remain transitory. I did not say that kind of a belief. I said that inflation is going to remain more and more persistent. And as you can see, absolutely on the dot, the inflation impacted market sentiment significantly. Remember, at that point of time, there was no Ukraine and Russia war. And yet, our prediction was bang on in terms of inflation. Let's look at what happened to our second prediction, which is value versus growth. As you can see on the screen, I had predicted that value should do extremely well as compared to growth. And that was not the case in 2021, 2020, 2019. In fact, for many years in a row, growth outperformed value. And many people wrote an obituary for the value investing, if you remember. But I did predict something different at that point of time. Let's see what I did predict. And this is the first time after many, many years, even though the growth did well as compared to value in 2021, but the performance gap has been narrowed very significantly. If you can see 19% versus 15%, but if you look at 3 years, 25 versus 9, 21 versus 9, 15 versus 10. So what has happened? This is the first time value investing did give us some amount of tough competition to the growth. And what is observed historically, that whenever the rate of interest moves up, whenever the inflation goes up, value should do better as compared to growth, because the kind of PE that gets commanded because of rate of interest going up, they will not command the same kind of premium, am I right? And that will make me believe that value strategies should perform better as compared to growth strategy. And as you can see, MSCI Value Index performed up by 2.89% versus growth, which is down by 23% in 1 year. So again, on the dot, and remember that was a little contra call at that point of time. If you remember, many of you had asked me about Nasdaq also, and I advised against it. Let's look at what could be the impact of the Fed rate hike on the, because we had predicted that Fed is going to hike rate of interest, whether we like it or not. And Fed did hike rate of interest, am I right? And one of the highest in any calendar year by 425 bips rate. Let's see what did I predict at that point of time. If you remember, I did mention that Fed will hike rate of interest in 2022. And Fed in February 2021, what did they suggested? No rate hike in 2022. When they make a policy in December 2021, they did talk about 3 rate hikes in 2022. So it will happen, whether we like it or not. And as you know, since 75 bps rate hike that Fed did in June 2022, market moved up, did not impact the market badly. And I had given example of previous 2 rate hikes and how Indian market moved up instead of moved down. And the general belief was that as and when the Fed would rate hike, it would be negative for the Indian equity market. But that was not the case. But I did predict in January 2020. A lot of people thought the 2020, 2021 was excellent year. कौन से भी स्टॉक पे पैसा डाल दो, probability is very high that you would make money. And hence people thought that equity market is all about linear returns. But I did not believe on that 2022 is going to be that kind of a year. I had predicted that market will give negative returns in the first half. And even though I was positive for the positive returns, I did mention that all the positive gains will come only in the second half. Let's see what did I say at that point of time. Will the market give this linear returns throughout the year? I'm again making a prediction. I do expect first half market to give negative returns, and the positive returns I'm talking about 2022 will come purely because of the second half. So that's about first half. And second thing, everyone was a little excited. Kitna niche jayega Nifty? That was the basic question. Of course, I'm so sure you would again have this question on your wish list, how much low we can do. What did I predict? Let's see that also. And how much I'm closer to that prediction. Let's go ahead. Now the another question that keep bothering all of you, that market mein mandi hai to kitni aayegi? Am I right? That's another thing. So how much fall we should expect in 2022? So if you look at it in 2021, it was more or less one-side movement. First 3 quarters we saw gain. The last quarter we saw decline in the Nifty and the Sensex. So we already seen about 10% decline from the peak that we saw, which we saw somewhere in the month of October. Am I right? But are we done with the correction? The answer is no. It's my personal opinion. It's not Markets Mojo opinion. Market may correct by 10 to 12% from the present level. That's what I'm getting sense. So I will not be surprised if the Nifty touches near about 15,000 to 15,000. And the last prediction that is clearly bang on about what level Sensex and Nifty will close in 2022. Just to give you an idea, Nifty closed at 18,105 and Sensex at 60,841. But what did I predict in January 2022? Let's see that. So how Indian equity will perform in 2022? I expect single digit returns. My Nifty targets for by year end is 18,500 and Sensex in the region of about 62,000. So as you can see, despite such a volatile and one of the challenging market condition, the prediction that matter the most has really done extremely well, and they've bang on in terms of the with the precision. In fact, if you look at it, whether it's a Nifty level, first half or the second half, the Nifty and Sensex. But having said that, we do have misses also. It's not that everything what I predicted has come true. So one thing which I had predicted, that emerging market should outperform. The what we call the world developed market should outperform the emerging market, which has not happened. In fact, emerging market fallen by 21.7% versus world 19.3%. That prediction has really not come true. And second thing, I had predicted that banking should underperform. It has not. In fact, on the contrary, the bank Nifty moved up by 21%, and PSU Bank, which has come as a big surprise to me, has really been an outperformer. So I did miss out on that, and that's normally happen. You can't have 100 out of 100 prediction coming true, but the prediction that mattered the most has been really come out bang on, whether it's inflation, Fed rate hike, value versus growth, and so and so. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my prediction, crystal ball gazing for 2023, and what are the points I'm going to cover which bother the investors very significantly. Number one definitely is, will inflation cool down? I think that's $1 million question, not only for the central banks but even for the government and for the common citizens of each and every country, because that's been really hurting them very, very badly. Should we brace ourselves for crude shock? That is nothing but the crude oil shock, because we saw crude oil price surging very badly, and it did impact our inflation trajectory and our rupee. How many more rate hikes? If at all there are more hikes from RBI and Fed, can I put numbers on that? I'm going to do that. Should we expect gold and silver rally to continue even in 2023? Because as I mentioned in my Friday webinar, that gold and silver did extremely well. They are up in double digits in 2000. That's for the Indian investors, not for the global, because rupee depreciation, that really gave the benefit. Will industrial metal recover? In fact, a lot of you people have a lot of interest in metal business. Why? Because you people keep asking me, so I have put that also. Which one will outperform? We saw growth or value, because that will give you an idea where you should be parking your funds. Should we expect risk on strategy, or should we expect risk off strategy in the equity market? FII, क्या वो आएंगे वापिस? Because they sold 1.21 lakh crore in 2022. Will they continue to keep selling, or will they come back? What's a downside risk to the Nifty? As I was predicting last year, 15,000 to 15,100. क्या should we expect? What should be Nifty bottom? क्या हो सकता है? हो सकता है तो क्या हो सकता है? Will Indian market be 8th year lucky? Because 7 years in a row, Indian equity market has given positive returns. तो क्या 8वां साल भी पॉजिटिव रहेगा? The most nagging question that you people have, मीडियम स्मॉल कैप से पैसा बनेगा? 2021 में तो बना नहीं था. And what are the sectors that can give positive returns? And of course, I'm also going to give 10 stocks that we strongly believe can give good returns to the investors in 2023. So these are the things which I'm going to discuss in my presentation. So please please jot it down in a piece of paper or in a mobile or in a laptop, the prediction I'm going to make. And of course, as my promise to you, as I do every year, we'll again revisit in January 2024 how good or the bad the prediction were, which I'm making today. So let me start with the inflation. And I must tell you, this has been one nagging point which really impacted equity investors across the world. And one of the reasons why equity performed so poorly in 2022 was inflation. I am getting a sense now that inflation has either reached peak or is about to reach peak, depending on which country or which part of the world you are there. There are two reasons. One is that I do expect inflation to start coming down, and more so in the second half of 2023. Why is that so? Supply side constraints are easing, and there is no peak pent-up demand that is there, because the pent-up demand was there because of the lockdown, and because of the lockdown, people did not buy. Like what we are seeing in tourism industry is nothing but the pent-up demand. Okay, we saw that happening with various other sectors. That is still is going away, and that's going to bring in the equilibrium between the demand and the supply. And in other words, and of course, the central banks have hiked the rate of interest, and the base effect is also going to come back. Due to that, the inflation will cool down in India. In US, also, I think the problem point or the reason why the Fed has been little concerned is that labor market. There is a complete demand-supply mismatch. There is a more demand, less supply for the labor. I do get a sense that by second half of 2023, that imbalance will come into normality. And that's one reason Fed would do something which it is not done in 2020. I'll come to that. The US economy anyway showing signs of lower disposable income and tighter financial conditions. And that should really help even in the US to inflation to come down. So what my prediction is that inflation will come down in India, inflation will come down in the US. Now, one of the big cause of inflation in India has been the crude. As you all know, that crude price went up substantially to India's crude oil price in 2022 went up to $97.6 dollar per barrel, which was only $70 in 2021. Now there are two things which happened. One is that एक तो crude coal का price बढ़ गया, second thing rupee depreciated against the dollar, and it created a double whammy. तो वो जलती आग में घी का काम किया दोनों ने. Okay, and that really pushed up the inflation high. So now it's very critical to understand by crude oil price, how do we expect that crude oil price, because that's also is a function of how much inflation can move up. And remember, this is despite India importing crude oil from Russia at the lower prices. So our crude oil price went up by 40%, as you can see, despite we have been importing from Russia. And as you all know, दो चीज करता है, higher the crude oil price impacts our rupee also and our inflation also. Now, my sense is that after reading so much analysis and doing a lot of analysis, I am getting a sense is that crude oil price will average near about $90 to $95 per barrel. Of course, there are some expectation are that it will go above $100 per barrel because of demand will surge and so for China coming back and so. I don't expect that to happen. In other words, I don't expect crude oil to disrupt. Why it's not disrupt? Because anyway we were paid average $97.6 per barrel. If वो 1995 होता है, तो it's already there in the price. So there cannot be any kind of a crude oil shock that we need to budget. Remember, RBI, whenever they make inflation target, they always give an assumption of crude oil basket. That's the only assumption. The RBI will make an assumption that we expect crude oil to be so and so, and based on that we are making an assumption on the inflation. So inflation and crude oil has a very strong correlation. Higher the crude oil price is, higher the inflation, and vice versa. So what do I expect? I don't expect crude oil shock to be there in 2023. So what does this mean then? कितना rate hike आएगा? if the crude inflation is going to be remain benign, there is no crude oil shock, then what are we expecting in the rate hike? I expect one more rate hike. I again repeat loud and clear. I expect one more rate hike from RBI in 2023, which will happen post budget. Why? Because RBI is going to announce the monetary policy. So one more rate hike hoga RBI ka, and one more rate hike from the Fed, which is on February 1st, which happened to be budget day. But of course, वहाँ का first अपना second हो जाएगा. So that's a different. Following that, I'm making a prediction. Please listen very carefully. I expect only one rate hike, both from RBI as well as Fed, in 2023. Post that, we expect rate of interest. There will be a pause in the rate of hikes. So na rate hike करेंगे ना decrease करेंगे for some time. Even Powell, if you remember, Jerome Powell admitted that Fed has covered a lot of ground. That's one of the reasons I don't expect too many rate hikes. And second half of 2023, I expect rate of interest to start coming down. So what am I saying? Only one more rate hike, pause in between, and by second half of 2023, rate of interest will start coming down. That is for India as well as US. Now gold and silver did extremely well in 2022. Should it do very well in 2020? The answer is yes. See, remember, the gold cycle got busted in 2012. And gold is also a commodity, am I right? Every commodity has a what we call boom and bust cycle. The demand for, and one big factor basically that impacted gold demand was cryptocurrency. And we had seen collapse of cryptocurrency in 2022. So the investors who were putting money in cryptocurrency moved to the, so putting in more money in the gold, moved to the cryptocurrency. And that cryptocurrency story is over. वो जो हिस्टोरिकल जो आपने देखा वो प्राइस वो हिस्ट्री में बुक्स में चला गया. It's not going to ever come back to that price. Remember that for cryptocurrency. A lot of investors who were active in crypto market has come back to the bullion market. So bullion as a strategy should do extremely well. Indian investors made money, not the why? Because globally again the price has not gone up so much. Why? Because of demand supply. But what has happened because of Indian currency depreciating against the dollar, demands the price moved up in rupee terms. I do expect gold prices even in dollar terms to move up, and that should really help gold to do well. And even silver has a lot of value. Other than gold doesn't have so much industrial value, but silver has a lot of value in industry because it gets consumed. Almost 50% of demand for silver comes from the industry. And one of the product where you find a lot of use is solar panels. And demand for solar panels is going to be remain very, very robust. That makes me believe that even silver should do very well. So I do believe that industrial activity should do well, and due to that, I do expect gold and silver to outperform in 2023. That brings me to the industrial metal. We all know that prices went through the roof because of Russia and Ukraine crisis, and then it started coming down. And it was a tale of two half, On first half, we saw price going increasingly very high, and second half, we saw prices coming down. There was a hue and cry. And even Government of India came out with the policy measures to curb steel export from India. Why? Because prices are running up, and we all know what happened to the prices little later. So on Y, the 2022, the metal prices, industrial metal prices were lower than what they were in December 2021. The prices declined, but I do expect industrial metal prices to move up. Why is that so? Couple of reasons. One is a lower inflation, which I'm expected. I've anyway mentioned. No major rate hikes. On the contrary, I expect rate hikes to come down, and there will not be major shock of Russia and Ukraine is already there. It's in the is in a rear view mirror. So due to that, this industrial metal prices are going to go up, and that's one way you can say that metal companies, those who are belonging metal sector can outperform going forward. Another thing which is there, you must remember that green energy and EV should push up demand for the industrial metal like copper and aluminum, and that would further boost demand for them. And I have been informed that inventory level for some of this metal has been very, very low, which another reason I believe that industrial metal should do extremely well in 2023. Will it start doing very well from day one? The answer is no. But on a Y-on-Y basis, I think they should do extremely well. Now comes the question on growth versus value. As we all know, which I've explained also, the value indexes perform extremely well in 2022. I do expect value to outperform growth even in first half of 2023. I again repeat, I expect value to outperform in first half of 2023, but post that, growth will come a very strong comeback. And if I have to look at year as a whole, I think 2023 would be year for the growth. In other words, growth will outperform so significantly that it will, even for the full year, it would give a positive returns. And 2022 was not a risk-on strategy. Why? Because of Fed hiking rate of interest and inflation. I strongly believe risk-on strategy will come back. And if that's going to happen, growth stocks should do extremely well. So I think 2022, again we will see growth stocks are back in demand. And value strategy will again take a backseat. So I think it has performed well in 2022. I think that rally will come to an abrupt end, most probably by first half of 2023. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens before that. But nonetheless, at the best, it will continue to outperform till first half of 2023, and the growth strategy will. The reason I'm saying this information with you, because you can, accordingly, you can moderate or adjust your strategy of an equity investment. Now, सवाल आता है पैसा FI कितना डालेगा? One of the disaster years, highest ever sold quantity been sold by any year by FI in any year has been 2022. Even 2008 की मंदी में भी इतना नहीं बेचा था जितना उन्होंने बेच दिया. 121 lakh crore they sold it. The only good thing is that second half of 2022, they were positive buyers in the equity market. I strongly believe because of India's growth story, India's strong resilience, we should expect at least 1 lakh positive inflow in 2023. So 2022 में उन्होंने 1.21 lakh crore बेचा है. Minimum 1 lakh crore they are going to invest in Indian equity market in 2023. Why am I saying so? Purely because of India's growth story, risk-on strategy coming back, and number 3, the valuation of Indian market remains continuously attractive. And I'll come to that evaluation part little later of my presentation. But before I start discussing about how do I see the market for the full year, आप लोग के मन में एक सवाल रहता है कि ये निफ्टी कितना जाएगा. I keep getting this question many times in webinar also. I did some analysis, I did some trend analysis and other things, looking at what could be the potential fall that market can have, and reason could be anything. Why market can go down could be Nifty. I believe that Nifty can touch 16,300 somewhere in 2023. I again repeat, Nifty can touch 16,300 anytime in 2023. But this would be a very temporary. वो नीचे जाएगा और ऊपर भाग जाएगा, जैसे मैं 15,500 के बारे में बताया था लास्ट ईयर का. It will touch that level and it will start bouncing back very strongly. You will not get an opportunity to buy. So don't remain nimble-footed. But that's what would happen. Just having said that, I do not expect much downside in a mid and small cap indices. I'm only talking about Nifty में थोड़ा गिरावट आ सकता है आपका. Mid and small cap, I don't expect much downside fall. So remember, these are two divergent views I'm giving now. Normally what happens, market cap में market नीचे आता है, सब कुछ नीचे आता है. I'm giving a very different view this time. Nifty can go down to 16,300, but don't expect too much downside into mid and small cap. Now comes the question, क्या पैसा बनेगा 2023 में? The answer is yes. So if you look at, I've done this analysis in 1980. Okay, by how does this market behaves? So, this is not the first time we are saving 7th year in a row. 2016 से 2022, we have seen 7 years in a row market giving positive returns. Now question comes, यार law of average आना चाहिए ना? 1988 से 1988 to 1994, even we saw 7 years in a rally, despite we had Harshad Mehta crisis coming in, if you remember that. And yet market gave positive returns every calendar year. So this is not the first time this has happened. This has happened in the past also. But the only difference that 1988 and 1994, the CAGR was in excess of 36%. इस बार क्या है? Only 12.8%. कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं है, आप समझे? It's only 12.8%. So yes, market gave positive returns, but returns are very minuscule. बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं दिया. Even if you look at the 2002 to 2007, 7 years in a row, 6 years in a row, market gave positive returns or CAGR of 35%. So while the market has an extended rally for 7th year in a row, the returns have not been so robust. And that makes me believe that 2023 में भी market will give positive returns. I'll come to that, how much positive returns. Even there's a very interesting thing which I've observed. If you look at last 22 years का data, only 4 years the Sensex has given calendar year negative returns. एक था 2001 में, एक था 2008 में, which everyone know, एक था 2011 में और एक था 2015 में. उसके सिवा every year, so 80% probability that market normally gives positive returns. ये 22 साल का आपका हिस्ट्री बता रहा है. So why I'm saying that market will give positive returns? Okay, very simple. Strong resilience, and we all saw what GST collection has been in the month of November. बहुत पैसा 1.5 lakh crore GST collection we saw. So despite so many challenges that Indian economy has, the global world has faced, Indian economy has shown strong resilience. India Inc. has shown strong resilience in the profitability. If this pressure is going to ease, if inflation is going to ease, the rate of interest are going to pose and then start going to come down, I think it's all the more reason equity should give positive returns. But having said that, I do expect returns to be in low teens, and hence I'm predicting Sensex at 68,000 and Nifty at 20,100, taking into consideration the closing of 2022. Please jot down this value: 68,000 for Sensex and Nifty is 20,100. Now comes the valuation part, which a lot of you people are about to ask me, so I thought let me preempt that. If you look at Indian market is not trading very rich valuation as compared to 10-year average. Sensex 22.5 है, उसका 23.8 है अभी का. 22.1 है निफ्टी का, 23.6 अभी चला 10-year average. But look at mid cap, 29.3 अभी 27 चल रहा है. What does this give an indication? Which I was saying previously, we don't expect much fall in the mid and small cap indices purely because we are trading at 10-year, even lower than 10-year average. And remember, Indian market should deserve a higher PY, fastest growing economy in the world, not as much leverage as it used to be in the past, and return on equity is improving. And if that is so, we are trading at a very, very good valuation. Don't expect much downside other than what I expect for the Nifty, but mid and small cap मंदी भी नहीं लगता है. Even if you look at what is the Nifty prediction for EPS for 2024 FY, it is 995. Based on that, the current right now market valuation is 18.2x. I don't think that's a rich valuation, and hence I do expect market to be 8th year lucky in terms of positive returns. Now बड़ा सवाल, बहुत बड़ा सवाल है आप लोग के मन में कि मिड एंड स्मॉल कैप में क्या पैसा बनेगा. So what I've done, I've taken monthly the sale of mid and small cap in the total India's market cap. And if you look at it, in April 2012, it was 15%. And then, it moved very consistently above this level. 2018 से थोड़ा नीचे आ गया. Even the last year, that is December 2021, it was at 9.1%. But as I speak to you, it's only 5.4%. आधा हो गया, which is a lowest level that one can expect this to happen for the mid and small cap. I strongly believe that mid and small cap has hit the bottom. Why? Because of mid and small cap का जो percentage of total market cap है is very very low. इससे ज़्यादा downside है ही नहीं, possible ही नहीं है उसमें. And hence it would bounce back very very strongly. As we have seen here, if you can see this data, it has bounced back. And if you look at the long-term average, it always commands near about 15% of the total market. If the total market cap has to go up and 5.4% has to go to 15%, assume average, which is 3x, you can expect the kind of rally that we can see in a mid and small cap. Another thing, if you look at it, if you look at the 5 years returns of mid and small cap versus large cap, while large cap has given near about 80% return, mid and small cap has given half of that return in last 5 years. So that means another law of average should kick in. Normally, mid and small cap should outperform the large cap. That makes me another reason why I believe mid and small cap will outperform in 2023. So first, I predict Indian market will be positive, and the more the gain would be mid and small cap as compared to the large cap. And downside also I gave you for the Nifty 50. Now come the sector and theme that can do well in 2023. So there are 3 sectors I believe will do extremely well. One is IT, purely because of supply side easing. If you remember, in 2022 I had suggested at the best IT would be a market performer. It will not be out. But in 2019, 2020, 2021, IT was one of the best performing sector. And at that point of time, I mentioned at the best it will be market performer. And in fact, it's underperformed very significantly. मुझे लगता है कि supply side issues are abating, in the sense acceleration rates are coming down. Demand outlook will remain little strong, and I do expect the US to do extremely well post in the second half, and that would come. Another thing is that growth strategies will come back, and if that is so, IT sector should do extremely well, because that's where the IT sector commands more. And because of the price correction in 2022 in IT companies, the values have become more and more appealing. So that makes me believe that IT sector should outperform in 2023. Pharma has been a constant underperformer since 2015. And for the various reasons, first, the valuations are commanding very, very rich. If you look at in 2015, market cap to sales of many of the pharma companies gone skyrocketed. It was highly unsustainable. But now, and another thing which has happened, generic prices in the US have started collapsing because of some competition, and there were some local regulations which did not allow. Now, if you speak to if you look at the US generic market, prices have stabilized of the generics, and which is very, very good for the country like India, because India does a lot of pharma exports to the US. Second thing, domestic pharma, and if you look at the data which is out for November, December data will come out in the next couple of days. But if you look at the Indian pharmaceutical IPM data, that is called Indian pharmaceutical market, the growth has been robust for the Indian pharma, domestic market also. That's another reason we believe that pharma companies should come back in terms of their growth in their top line and the bottom line. And the last but not the least, the fraud in the valuation of pharma companies have gone. In other words, there is high probability that pharma companies will outperform in 2023. And the last sector which we believe should do extremely well is capital goods and infra. One of the reasons, of course, 2008 was the last year when the capital goods and infra did well, and then 14 years in a row, I think we have seen the underperformance continuously. What I've observed, that whenever there is a general election, Government of India speed up money being spent on the infra projects. Why? Because they want to showcase completed project because that can reap them dividend, political dividend in that. Second thing, if you look at the India capacity utilization, we are 75%. And if the rate of interest has to come down, people will have a reason to go for the capex. And due to that, I do believe that capital goods and infra should outperform in 2023. So these are the three themes on the sector. But the one big theme which I believe is going to play out in 2023 is a small cap. And I'm making a very bold prediction today that 2023 would be a year for small caps. I again repeat, 2023 will be a year for small caps. So I'm expecting small cap to do extremely well as compared to mid cap, and mid cap should outperform the large cap. Now, before I go on 10 stocks which I can discuss about for 2023, let's try to understand what are the risk factors to observe in 2023. Definitely, even though I'm predicting inflation to come down, but one factor we must watch closely is inflation. Then second thing is the deficits of Government of India, how much we are able to control our fiscal and current account deficit. Global economic outlook. For some reason it deteriorates further, it could pose a lot of problem. It could cause a lot of problem for the Indian market in India. Southwest monsoon. We all know that climatic conditions are getting little uneven, and for some reason, if there is a kind of a uneven monsoon, it could create a food inflation for India, which is not very good. In new virus, I'm not worried about COVID. COVID variant is not going to create too much problem, so forget about it. But if there is some new virus on the horizon, somehow coming out of the blue, could create a problem. These are the 5 risk factors that we should all be observing very minutely in 2000. Of course, we will come in front of you every day in case if we spot any of the trend which is becoming more entrenched in our system. So I'll come in there. Before I discuss about 10 stocks to you, it's very good to understand how our last year same time portfolio did well or not. As I speak to you, our portfolio is up by 2.26% versus benchmark 4.91. So yes, we did underperform in 2022. But I strongly believe that portfolio which is you created last year started outperforming very well. And it will outperform going forward. So like if you look at it till this data is as of 30th December. It was up by only 0.9% versus 4.4. But as I speak to you today, that is today's, the portfolio is up by 2.26%, while the benchmark is only moved up from 4.4 to 4.91. In other words, the delta is coming in now in this. If you remember, I'd given Diwali portfolio also. I'm happy to inform you it's up by 11.46% as of today versus benchmark return of only 2.8%. On the same line, I'm again suggesting you 10 stocks aggressive model portfolio 2023. These are the companies. Sexsoft is an IT company. Mrs. Baxter's, nothing but FMCG company. Karur Vyasya Bank. RBL Bank is a bank. Exide Industries, they sold their insurance business purely and doing a lot of stuff on the lithium battery, auto and silicon, that should. IDFC First Bank, another private sector bank. Max Healthcare, purely because of consolidation that is happening in the complete hospital sector, and Max Healthcare should get benefit of Persistent System, another IT company. Axis Bank, and Reddington India, the distributor of IT hardware and the mobile phone. If you look at this 10 stocks portfolio, 60% weightage has gone to the mid and small cap. And the reason why it's 60% because we believe that mid and small cap should outperform the large cap. So my request to all of you is that please, this is for 10 lakhs. You can increase or decrease as per your comfort level, but please buy the proportionately the same quantity of the company. So suppose if you wish to buy 20 lakhs, for example, if you wish to buy 20, if you want to construct 20 lakhs portfolio, you double the quantity, okay, of each company. Or if you wish to you usko multiply by 2 kar dena, okay. Or you want to put only 5 lakh, then isko divide by 50 kar dena, half kar dena quantity. That way, but buy the same quantity, same company in the same proportionate. Why? Because that will ensure that your market cap and the sector exposure are not being, there is no deviation to that. Remember, this is not in buy and hold portfolio. We will churn the portfolio based on our score. And hence I would request all of you, if you really want us to give an advice on our buy and hold, on our portfolio, please go to the website, select aggressive if you are an aggressive investor, or if you're moderate, you select moderate. If you are conservative, whatever the is, please select the amount and please create the portfolio. And if you create the portfolio, then only we'll be able to advise you when to exit from that particular company that you're holding that. We do have, if you are a Mojo professional customer and if you don't have model portfolio, we do have a Mojo Infinity where you can go for model portfolio. You have to pay only 2% of the amount you wish to invest, and we will advise you 24/7 on our portfolio. So again, I repeat, Saxoft, Mrs. Bactors, Karur Vyasya Bank, RBL Bank, Exide Industries, IDFC First Bank, Max Healthcare, Persistent System, Axis Bank, and Redington India, which I am suggesting for 2023. With this, it's a beginning of new year and time for a new year offer. As you all know that we are launching our mutual fund transaction in January, that is this month. If you subscribe today, you will get free mutual fund transaction. This is part of the package. Not only that, those who are attending the webinar, they are getting 3 months extra than what is available on our website. Why? Because we are offering you 26,999 offer for 2 years, which comes with additional 3 months, which comes at a 33% discount. So not only we are getting 33% discount, you are getting additional 3 months free, and over and above that, you are getting mutual fund transaction free of cost. I'll request my colleague Jason to please put the link so that you can avail this offer immediately. With this, let's open the floor. Jason, since I've extended my presentation, let's extend the question answer also.
Sure. I'll pick this first question by Vineet. I know you look at a lot of stats to come up with prediction. I want you to make the prediction based on instinct or purely calculated risk. What goes in on your mind to conclude back your discussion? If the rate hikes will take place in first half of 2023, does this mean Nifty Sensex will mark its lows in first half? Also, what about the external factors like COVID?
No, I want you to make the prediction based on instinct or purely calculated risk. No, sir, I don't do that. See, instinct could be wrong, instinct could be right, of course. So when I analyze the data, of course my instinct will come into play. But then I also try to understand whether this instinct is basically backed by data or not. If it is not, I would rather not use my instinct. As far as rate hike, I think Vinitji, rate hike has been, see, if you look at the rate hike has not impacted the market sentiment. Like Indian market did not go down when the first 75 bips rate hike came in June 2022. And post every 75 bips rate hike, Indian market moved up. And another 50 bips rate hike which came in December, market further went up. तो मुझे नहीं लगता है कि Fed rate hike से market नीचे जाएगा in the first half or so. I don't think so. And even I don't know when the market will, which prediction I've given for the 16,200 for Nifty, when will it happen in first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. An external factor like COVID, I don't think COVID is at all is an issue for us. Of course, today we are discussing about it. Why? Because what has happened in China, and I think, and the government of Ministry of this, but I think no longer COVID is a factor. If you remember, last 8 days, market has moved up without much worried about the COVID factors. When I say last 8 days, matlab last Monday se this Monday. So I don't think COVID is going to be an impact or is a factor at all which will bother the market. In 2022, we did not see COVID making an impact. Something similar will happen in 2023 also. Kuch nahi impact hai COVID ka.
Okay, this next question, Mr. Bhutankar. Dear sir, in all your predictions, you have taken geopolitical situation for granted. That is, no border conflicts will take place or no Taiwan-North Korea confrontation. Also, you have not factored act of God kind of events which no one predicts. Any comments on these aspects?
So you are right, sir. So geopolitical, what I've learned over the years, this geopolitical tension do impact the market sentiment, but very briefly. It doesn't impact the market sentiment over a longer period of time. So क्या होगा जैसे यूक्रेन रशिया, I did not predict in my 2022 prediction also, if you remember, sir. And then we did see Russia and Ukraine crisis happening, market going down by June 2022, and then we bounced back very strongly, isn't it, by 20% or so from that low level. Because 15,500 गया था, हम लोग 18,000 पे close हुए, तो almost 20% gain that we see. Assume what you are saying is right. North Korea, Taiwan, जो कुछ है, market can go down, but is it going to sustain at the low level? The answer is no. It will still give you positive return. See, despite so much challenges in 2022, Indian market did close with 4.5% gain, isn't it? So something similar I expect. And act of God, sir, I don't know, sir. It can happen, and if it happens, what kind of damage it can, which part of the world it happens, what kind of damage, and it's very difficult to budget. Act of God can always happen any time. And I don't think we should, in a good case, in a good assumption, we should make this as a base case also. I think it's more like a black swan event, and no one can predict black swan event. So I don't think I've taken, anyway, it doesn't make sense to look at this kind of factor at this point of time.
This question by Mr. Kirit Kumar, can you please explain about value and growth index?
So, Kirit Kumar ji, it's value is that basically the person basically will look at the traditional way, price to book value, market cap to sale, PE, and so on and so forth. What is growth strategy? Where even the company may be incurring losses, but you believe that this company will keep growing, and hence you are willing to pay that kind of a rich premium to that company. Some of the examples, like in India, if I have to say so, was company like Zomato, Paytm, and so on and so forth. They are growth companies and kind of stuff. Like in company like in US, it was more like a technology company like Tesla and Amazon and so on and so forth, where you have, because we believe those companies will grow at a very handsome pace, and hence you are willing to pay that kind of a extra premium. So the growth companies can command and sustain even P of 100. In value investing, no one would like to pay 100 P kind of stuff. If you need more explanation about this, just Google search. It's all available in this one. That will really help you to understand what is value and what is growth. But I just briefly explain you that.
Okay, I can see this one question by some of the investors. They said that even though many of the predictions were right, our portfolio did not see major outperformance this year. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, I do agree. I did mention the portfolio which I have suggested to you on 1st January 2022. It is underperformed marginally. And one of the reasons is that mid and small cap did not do well. I do believe now, and in fact, if you look at our Diwali portfolio, it outperformed extremely well. Almost 11%, more than 11% jump versus less than 3% jump in the benchmark. Since I believe 2022 has been a year of a mid and small cap, we see a significant outperformance of our model portfolio of our infinity strategy. So yes, 2022 has been a little exception. I did admit in my presentation, but that's not the case with 2023.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of questions by investors. I think they might be holding the stock in the portfolio. Mr. Uday Kumar has asked your opinion on Yes Bank this year.
So this is let me tell you, this predictions what I'm doing is more of my personal opinion on Yes Bank. I think I do expect a lot of supply to come post March 2023. So what could happen? What can happen is that the price may go up till March 2023, and then supply will push down the prices in 2023. So post March, I think we should see some correction in Yes Bank. This is my personal opinion.
Okay, moving to this next question by Johnson. When inflation went up, bank stocks also went up. If inflation cools down, will the bank stocks start underperforming?
So I don't know the relationship between the inflation and the bank stocks, but one thing which has happened is that NPA level has come down very drastically. Loan growth has been really double-digit growth that we saw, and that really helped Johnson, this complete banking sector. Even if you PSU Bank, if you look at it, they are thinking extremely well. My personal opinion, I do believe that the NIM can come under pressure for the banks, and we all know that how aggressive each and every banks or NBFC has gone aggressive in terms of hiking the rate of interest because they want to collect deposits from the people to keep sustaining the loan book. So NIM could come under pressure, number one. Number two, the NPA level, which has hit 10 years low or something, could start rising. Why? Because when the rate of interest goes up, normally people ability to repay the loan do take impair. And am I right? And that could impact the NPA level. So there are two things which could play out in 2023 for the banking. One is the NIM coming under pressure, and second thing, NPA level, which has hit the bottom, can start inching up. That could result into underperformance.
Okay, many investors have started actually asking this particular question. Pradeep has asked, what do you mean by free mutual fund transactions?
So, sir, we give you portfolio. We give you what to buy and what to sell on mutual fund units. Now we will give you. We will enable the transaction through that. So suppose if we say buy, you can click buy on our platform, and you can directly buy on that particular mutual fund scheme directly from the AMC. How does it benefit you? You don't have to pay additional distribution charges. You don't have to pay anything else to us. But there are two plans in the mutual fund scheme. One is a direct and another one to a distributor. So when you go to the distributor, your expense is a little, on an average, 100 bips higher than the direct plan. We are offering the direct plan. So we not only tell you which mutual fund scheme to buy, we will also help you to enable to buy the transaction. So you directly go to the mutual fund site, buy that units, and it will directly get credited to your demat account or your whatever that account is there. So that's a way you save at least 100 basis point on your mutual fund transaction. That's what we will offer you on our platform.
Okay, moving to this next question. This is Bandukar. Dear Sunil ji, if you assume Nifty reaching 16,300, why don't you suggest to slow on investment and keep cash ready to invest at lower level?
No. So even in 15,100, when I predicted 2,000, I never took a cash call, am I right? And remember, I said I don't expect mid and small cap. Again, harp on the point. I don't expect mid and small cap to go down much from this level. So this level is for the Nifty, not for the mid and small cap. And if you look at our portfolio, whether it's Infinity or Model portfolio, we have too much exposure to mid and small cap. If they are going to outperform, then why do you want to take a cash call? And remember, जब वो 16,300 होगा ना, किसका गट्स नहीं होता पैसा डालने का. 15,000 में आपने डाला है क्या? मैंने तो बोला था 15,000 होगा. 15,000 में आप लोग को डाला था क्या? That time you people are asking me 14,000 हो जाएगा Nifty. Why are you asking me to invest? And some leading foreign broking firm came out with a report, and you people cited that report to me. क्योंकि इतना तो ऐसा किया. Why should you invest? Fair market has moved up by 20% from that level. So don't do that, Madhukarji. It's very difficult to time the market on the downside.
Okay, this question by Mr. Soundarajan. Very nice presentation, dear Sunilji. Since 2024 is a national election year, how do you see markets reacting to continuity of same government, assuming BJP comes back to power?
Sir, we still have 1 year to go. I'm going to make very similar exercise January 2024, because election will take place in May 2024. Am I right? And I'll come in front of you at that point. It's too early to talk about it. See, in politics, even 1 month is a too long a period. 1 month is a too long a period. Am I right? So we are talking about May 2024. I'll again come back to you, sir, in front of you in January 2024, and I'll explain you what would happen if BJP is not able to retain the power, and if BJP is able to retain the power, what should happen? I'll discuss that. It's my promise to you, and I'll cover that topic in Jan 2024 presentations. Let's not discuss that. It's too early to talk about it.
Okay, moving to this next question. This is by Mr. Virendra. He says, wishing you and the entire Markets Mojo team a very happy new year. Although you are guiding us very closely, but please guide me on how I can become like you in terms of market knowledge.
Virendra ji, is very easy. If you can spend at least 7 to 8 hours on reading various stuff available about the market, about the economy, about the strategy, you can do that. So I do that. Actually, I don't track the market on a daily basis, but I keep myself updated with what's happening on the macro, RBI reports, Now economy survey will get released. I'll go through very detailed, read newspapers, read what's happening in the magazine like India Today and Open, so that you get an idea what's happening in politics. Read Barron's, Wall Street Journal, The Economist, the CNN, CNBC, Twitter, Bloomberg. Keep reading that, and I think if you keep doing and keep listening to the con call that the company does post earnings and annual report. If you keep doing this, I think you will be as good as, must be much better than me in terms of the market knowledge.
Okay, this question by Arun. Hello, so after creating the model portfolio and we enter those stocks, but since Markets Mojo will keep suggesting new stocks, should we keep with model portfolio, or we should exit some which are not performing well and enter those new stocks?
No, sir. Arun ji, you have to follow us in a very disciplined manner. जब हम आपको बोलेंगे लेना है, जब आपको बोलेंगे आपको बेचना है, you don't have to take human call नहीं लेना, human emotion नहीं लेके नहीं चल रहा है मुझे बेच देना दो. That's not the way you can create wealth. In fact, I'll tell you, other day, one of our Mojo Infinity customers came down from Malaysia. I hope he's attending this with his wife. And one company he was invested in was Rajratan Global Wire, and we discussed with him that day. That was on Friday. He came down to our office. And that same Rajratan Global was hitting lower circuit. He got panic at that point of time. I'm talking a year and a half back. And the same Rajratan Global Wire then made a lot of money for him. So वो नहीं देखना है कि वो underperform कर रहा तो मुझे निकल जाना चाहिए. You have to bring discipline. Discipline is one virtue that we all need to have in our investment career. So that's my philosophy. Please, मत करना आप लोग. We wait for our sell call and then only exit.
Okay, Mr. Sunil, I can see a couple of investors who are a bit concerned about Excelia. Is there any problem with that stock?
No problem at all. Please, in fact, I told you Excelia, if she did move down, am I right? After, I think, Jason, मैंने कभी बताया था Excelia के बारे में कि ये, if you're not bought, still buy it because it's going to go up extremely.
Last week itself.
Last week itself, I think I said in one of the webinars, because I do believe that it should do very well. And I continue to maintain that what is happening in last 1 week, it's up by 7%. I again repeat, Excelia is up by 7% last 1 week. I stated two companies. One is JK Paper and one was another Excelia. And they both were quoting below my, they both a stock of the month, and they were quoting below my recommended price. And today as I speak to you, both are up by 3.5% from my recommended price. So you can imagine they were down and they are now in green in 3.5%. That means they've done 7% or so up in last 1 week. That's the day I mentioned that. They are going to do extremely well. So Excelia, please, and I did mention that IT as a sector should do well. If that is so, it also creates more of a tailwinds for Excelia to do well. Even if you are not bought yet, please go and buy. I believe it should outperform very significantly.
Chris, question by Shyam. If we are not taking a cash call, then how one can benefit from the predictions? Surely predictions will enhance confidence in investing in equities. Also, should we go for 60% allocation to mid and small caps?
Sir, cash call तो कभी नहीं लेना चाहिए market के लिए. What going to define your returns is your stock selection. तो मैंने अपनी लाइफ में कभी cash call नहीं लिया है. Why? Because it's the futile exercise. I told you. मैं श्याम जी आपको मैं चैलेंज करके देता हूँ, जब मार्केट नीचे आएगा ना आपके पास गट्स नहीं होगी लेने के लिए. वाई? बिकॉज तभी मार्केट में फियर हो गई, इससे तो मार्केट नीचे गया ना. हाउ मेनी इन्वेस्टर्स बॉट नॉट द लास्ट फ्राइडे, वन बिफोर दैट फ्राइडे? In fact, people sold. I know one lady came down to our office all the way from some northern part of India. Why? Because in panic she sold everything on Friday. नहीं होता गट्स, नीचे में लेने का गट्स नहीं होता, ऊपर में लेने को सबको मैं बोलूंगा ना, आप सब ऊपर में लेने को तैयार हो जाएंगे, नीचे में लेने को. दैट्स द रॉन्ग स्ट्रेटेजी. यू शुड बाय व्हेन द मार्केट इज लो. नहीं होता है. तो मैं बोलता हूँ आपको, आई एम प्रेडिक्टिंग दैट यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू डू इट. सो डोंट टेक कैश कॉल. ओके. And second thing I did mention, I don't expect mid and small cap to fall. I think you have people getting too much concentrated on that Nifty level, that 16,000. That's what basically creating. उसको निकाल दो. I said mid and small cap in मंदी नहीं लग रही है. We don't say expect margin. And yes, if you can afford higher risk, higher return, please go for 60% allocation in mid and small cap. I must tell you, in our Mojo Infinity Sold portfolio, we are up to 90% in mid and small cap. 90. Why? It's a very aggressive strategy. So that's the thing.
Okay, Mr. Sunil, that's it with the Q&A session for today.
So as I told you, we do have a very good offer. Subscription, we have mutual fund transaction free in this offer. You get 33% discount on the MRP, and over on top of that, on 2-year subscription, you get 3 months extra. In other words, you pay 26,999 and you get 27 months of subscription. You can avail our subscription offer immediately. Just to summarize equity outlook for 2023, we expect inflation to come down. We expect one more rate hike and then pause, and then second half of 2023, rate of interest will start declining. We do expect mid and small cap to do extremely well. We do expect market to give lower tin returns for Nifty and Sensex. We do expect IT, pharma and capital goods sector to perform well. We do expect Nifty can go to low level of 16,300, and we do believe that growth will come back in the second half of 2020. In other words, बहुत दुख देखा है 2022 में, अब सुख की आशा रखनी चाहिए 2023 में. With this, once again, thanks everyone taking time out and attending this webinar. Thanks a lot, Jason, for hosting this webinar. Over to you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Mr. Sunil, and thanks a lot, everyone, for attending the first event of 2023. And tomorrow we do have our latest addition to Top Stocks. We'll be shortly sending the invite to all our Mojo professional investors. Goodbye and have a great evening. Thank you so much.